for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC Fight Night live from Austin, Texas. Cater versus Emmett. We should have a banger main event, guys. Excited for this main event. Two tough guys, durable strikers. This card's actually fairly deep. Few nice fights in the prelims. We got some decent fights. A lot of decent fights. There's no really terrible fights. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this card. No Vegas this week. Hopefully they do travel more for these fight night cards, make the fight night cards a little deeper. I'll be going over the main card like usual, free picks, leans, what to avoid, breakdowns, of course. Systemsportscapping.com, guys. Systemsportscapping.com to receive this card and all my sports bets. I'm currently handicapping anywhere from 5 to 7 sports. Obviously, the NFL will get even busier, so looking forward to that. Start profiting long-term on sports betting, right? Avoid big crypto crashes, big stock market crashes. It's just very vulnerable, right? That type of market. So let's get into the sports betting market. Join my large client list, worldwide client list today. Follow me on System Capping on Instagram and Twitter. System Capping, Instagram and Twitter. You're going to find free picks there. You're going to find weekly updates, sports news, betting news, everything involved in the world of sports and sports betting. Let's get into UFC 275 recap. And what a card it was from Singapore. Singapore definitely delivered. We had some good finishes. One of the best lightweight fights we've ever seen. Light heavyweight fights that we ever seen. It had toughness. It had everything. Heart, a bunch of almost finishes, submission attempts, blood. Just a great chess match in general. You know, the main event proved Yuri could hang on the ground and does have a ground game, as he did get a submission late in the 5th round where Glover never gets finished, right? But he got tired. He got tired late in that 5th. We were on Yuri by finish. Got lucky there, right? He finished him in 30 seconds. No one saw a submission. You know, I saw a TKO or KO finish. He was able to get a submission finish, which was very impressive from Yuri. Just shows how well-rounded he is. You know, Glover was on his way probably to winning that fight, but he got tired. And you get that from a 42-year-old. You understand that. The thing that really surprised me was how long the fight went. You know, I was on the under 2.5 rounds with Yuri to win the fight. And, you know, I did think the fight was not going to go the distance for sure. It didn't go the distance, so that was good there. That was my favorite play on the fight, but you definitely had to pay for that. You know, just great to see how Yuri is really shining in the UFC. Czech Republic really takes him on, as you can see from the video here. Great turnout, big parade for him, big showing for him. You know, I get it. You know, Czech Republic doesn't have a ton of people to cheer for, a ton of teams to cheer for. They're not really great in the sports world. Great country though, but yeah, that was great to see. Definitely for Yuri and the UFC. Other quick hits from the card. Perfect on the sides. You know, Weili, Yuri, Valentina, Della to open up the main card. I just thought Weili would win by decision. That kind of shocked me. I was on the over 2.5 rounds and Weili by decision. So, you know, on the right side there, clearly, Weili looked incredible, very strong. You know, it's always hard to guess that, you know, a spinning back fist was going to end the fight, you know, but she caught her perfectly. What a finish for Weili. She looked very impressive in that fight, and that Thailand training definitely did help. And Santos, wow, what a performance. I told you guys she's going to be her toughest test yet. Did I think Valentina could win the fight? Sorry, did I think Santos was going to win the fight? No. Obviously, we're on Valentina. She did win the fight. I agree with it due to the rounds of 4 and 5 being her dominant rounds, and that's a championship rounds. And to steal the belt, in my opinion, you have to go out and clearly beat Valentina and win maybe the 4th or 5th round, and she didn't. So, you know, it's a close fight. I get it. Was it a robbery? No. It could have went either way. If Santos won, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, maybe I wouldn't have agreed to it. But, you know, I get why Valentina won the fight. She won the championship rounds, clearly. And, you know, that headbutt was an issue. I want to see Santos get a rematch. Santos deserves that rematch. So, especially that headbutt, how much that affect her? It probably did affect her, right? She was cut out, bleeding. Definitely tough there. Let's get into the weekly update, guys. Week update. UFC client runs 106 and 57. That's 65%. 50 and 21 shorter term, 70%. Very happy with these numbers. These are long-term numbers. 53.2 units in profit. PGA, over 70 units in the prop market. 2 outrights last 8 events. 3 big ticket winners last 7 events. That's plus 400 or better, guys. Plus 400 or better. Just missed out on one last week. Brendan Todd, T10, plus 500. Finished T13. Bad beat there, bad beat, but a profitable RBC. MLB 20 and 11, low volume, tough week a few weeks ago. Took the week off from the MLB after a crazy start. What a start to the MLB. Lower volume in the MLB. It's about 5th sport that I really focus on. So it's more of a spot situational pitching matchup that I focus on in the MLB. NBA, 66% regular season. We know how good the regular season was. 13 and 10 playoffs. Just profitable, not a great NBA playoffs. NHL, what an NHL season. 66% regular season as well. 41 and 16 run in the NHL. That's 72%, guys. You won't find higher in the market. 14 and 6 playoffs as well. Winner with Colorado last night. Definitely a good winner there. NFL reminder. Let's get into the NFL reminder like I always do for you guys. What a season last year. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this card.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Remember, guys, shop around. Shop around. Have multiple books. I can't stress that enough. This is not the best number out there in the market. Please also like the video. It helps me out a lot. Share, comment. Helps me out a ton trying to grow the channel every week here. Every week trying to grow the channel. Consistent for the past 3 to 4 years on this channel. I haven't missed a week, guys. So love it. Love doing this for you guys. Main event. Let's get into the main event. Cater minus 230 versus Josh Emmett. Plus 190. I mentioned at the top of the card, this fight should be a banger. Very excited for this card. 2 exciting strikers that have durability. What else can you ask for? Toughness, durability. You know, starting with the underdog here, Emmett, definitely some value at plus 190. There's a few red flags, though, right? I think Emmett has a good wrestling advantage here, but he just doesn't use it. We don't see it. Cater can wrestle. He does have a background in wrestling. His boxing's better, though. His striking and volume's better. It's just, will Emmett use the wrestling? He's a little bigger, stockier guy, maybe stronger as well. So I think that would be Emmett's path. If Emmett decides to stand and bang with Cater, Cater's going to win on volume. More skilled striker, better boxer. So I don't think that would be the path, right? We saw Cater outstrike Giga. And we thought Giga was going to be one of the best strikers and he had a great kickboxing background. So yes, Cater will outstrike Emmett on volume and if the fight goes the distance. Emmett's path to victory, in my opinion, is to wrestle, grapple, and maybe try to catch him with a big shot. We know Emmett has great power, one shot knockout power. We just don't see it. We don't see Cater getting knocked out with one shot. That's why I think it could be a tough night for Emmett if he decides to just stand and bang. He needs to make up wrestling, mix up some wrestling and grappling. Will he? We don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows except Emmett and his coaches. Tough to say, right? Tough to say and pull the trigger there on Emmett. For I think his path should be to wrestle and make it an ugly fight. He just hasn't done that as of late. All his fights, he's standing, banging. Don't get me wrong, great striker. Low volume, though, against Cater, who's high volume. Right? And Cater has the better hands, better boxer. Emmett does have that one-shot power to hurt you, though. Keep that in mind. You know, ever since Cater got demolished by Max Holloway, I was lower on him again in the Giga fight. I was on Giga in that fight. Not a big player or anything, but I was on Giga to win that fight. And he just showed how Boston strong the guy is, right? Cater coming back like that and just putting on a performance like that after getting the shit kicked out of him for 5 rounds was so impressive. So impressive. I think Cater's just that guy when he steps up in competition, it's tough. When he steps up in competition, like a Max, or even if he fights Volkanovski for a champion, he's hovering around that 5 below. Is my opinion on Cater. I think Cater even versus Ortega. I think Ortega would win that fight. So I think Cater could beat guys like Josh Emmett, could beat guys in the middle of the division. And I think Cater will always be that guy for the next test to see if you could win the belt. That's where I think Cater is here. I do like Cater. I don't like the price at minus 230. Definitely wouldn't bet that straight. Definitely not with Emmett's power and possible wrestling advantage if he decides to get there. But, and it is tough to call an outcome. It is tough to call an outcome here. I love finding outcomes. Love betting that plus money outcome. But, this is a fight due to their durability and toughness could go all 5 rounds. But we also could see a late finish. We could see a cut. We can see, damage done to somebody where a finish happens, 4th, 5th round. So obviously an over in rounds is a great bet. 2.5, 3.5. If you can get that, if your book has that option, but you probably will pay. You'll probably pay for that, right? So, yeah, it's gonna be a great fight. Is it a great fight to bet? I would say no. I would say it's not a great fight to bet from a betting standpoint due to the price, due to me leaning the Cater way at minus 230. Just not something I'm willing to lay or bet at minus 230. Not getting a good return on the investment there, right? At minus 230 on Cater, where, yes, Emmett does have a shot in this fight, right? Does have a shot in this fight. Depends how he approaches it. Depends how well he returns there. We know Cater is going to be confident coming into this fight. Outcome's tough. Rounds, I would expect it to go, deep into the fight. So if you can get a 2.5, 3.5 over, I would pull the trigger there. I'm not confident this fight goes to decision, though. I'm not confident with that. Lean Cater to win this fight. Cerrone minus 170 versus Lazone plus 145. Lazone, yes, he's back. This fight's happening. It's finally happening, right? Finally, this one's happening. There's so many red flags in this one. So if you have to bet this fight, you got to go with the plus money with Joe, right? There's no other way if you have to bet this fight. Right, and there's a few reasons why, right? Cerrone had to pull out the last due to an illness. He's just not as focused as he previously was. He's doing movies. He's traveling. I think he was traveling for a movie. He had to come back for this on somewhat short notice. Joe's been rested. He hasn't fought for 3 years, which, that concerns me when guys don't fight for that long. Take that in consideration here if you decide to pull the trigger. But a small unit play on the plus money is not crazy. Definitely not crazy for a guy Cerrone where he's towards the end of the career. This could be his last fight. He's doing movies now. How much has he been training for this fight? The injury concern, the pullout. There's a lot of concerns here on Donald Cerrone. Joe's is just, he hasn't fought a ton. Right? He hasn't fought for 2-3 years. So that's the only concern there. And, it's not something I like to back. But there's a few more red flags with Cerrone, in my opinion, where I do think there's value here with Joe. I think he can get him to the ground, maybe. Get him down to the ground. Joe, he'll like to come forward. He'll like to press this fight, right? So I do think there is a finish in this fight. I don't see it going all 3 rounds. So if you want to look for some more value, you can maybe look Joe's way there. But yeah, not a fight that, there's so many red flags on both sides. It's not a fight that you want to bet heavily in. But I do see some value here at the plus money if you want to have a smaller unit on it. Means, this should be a fun fight. I'm excited for this one. Means plus 230 versus Kevin Holland minus 280. Yikes, minus 280 on Kevin Holland is tough, but I do think he should win this fight. Good matchmaking here, guys. Good matchmaking. Both guys like to bang it out. Both have submissions, highly volume guys. They do have some submission skills as well on the ground. Holland won't have to worry about that chain wrestling here, right, from Means. Won't have to worry about the wrestling from Means. That's why I do like him in this fight, right? Due to that. Because he's going to be able to stand and bang. He's going to be able to throw the heavy hands and maybe catch Means. And, Means is a vet. 3-fight win streak. Very impressive. Over a couple of decent guys. Mike Perry, Starpoli, and Dalby. Dalby's not bad. Definitely a couple good finishes, a couple good wins there, all by decision. Holland, after that nice streak he had during COVID, ran into some big boys. And when he ran into the big boys, they just took him down and beat him up. Brunson, terrible matchup for him. And Vettori did the same thing with the wrestling, right? Holland was able to hurt both those guys in the fight when it was standing, and that's what I think he can do here. He came back with a nice win against Cowboy Oliveira. Nice performance from there. Nice TKO finish. You know, the price is steep on Holland. Price is steep at all at minus 280. I don't agree with the price. I do like Holland to find a win, though. Tough on an outcome. Very tough on an outcome. You know, maybe lean Holland by decision, but I could see a late finish as well. So, you know, Holland could be a 2-fight parlay piece for me this weekend on my clients. I haven't got to it as of yet, you know, but I do think Holland finds a way to win this fight. I would be on him this weekend if you had to bet this fight. Buckley plus 180 versus Durev minus 220. You know, path for the Russian here with his wrestling, of course, right? That's going to be his path. Take down Buckley and wrestle him and keep him down there. Maybe find some ground and pound. You know, still raw in the UFC though, 1-0. You know, he isn't a young prospect. He's not like an upcoming Russian. Here he comes, you know, big 1-0 prospect. No, he's 1-0. He's like in his 30s, right? Buckley, he could catch him. He can catch him in this fight. Something to keep in mind, this Russian has been finished 3 times by KO. What does Buckley do? Catches people by KO. That's why this minus 220 is not warranted. Value with Buckley at plus 180. But you're hoping he just goes out there and catches him with a big finish. I don't like putting money on that. That's his only path. His only path is to catch him with a big shot. And, you know, that's why I would lean the Russian here. This fight I would avoid, guys. Unless you want to have a small unit on Buckley, hoping he catches him by KO. I'm not going to be betting this fight. You know, I do think the Russian kind of just wins a boring takedown style fight. Gets enough takedowns to win the fight. That's not going to have my money or my client's money. Next fight, this should be a good one. This should be a good one. It was Magomedov minus 170 versus Katelais, plus money on Katelais. Some value there, plus 130, plus 125, plus 140. Depends where you shop around. You know, a little European battle here, right, between these two guys. We don't see a ton. The Georgian fighter, his training partner is Khamzat. So Khamzat Chimaev should have him ready for this one. I don't know how much they personally were training for this fight in general, but he does have good training. He's coming off a big win over Gamrot. Big win there. He was undefeated. Close fight. Some had Gamrot winning that fight, but he did ruin his undefeated streak. Tough call by the judges there. As Mugulov is a vet, right? He's a vet. Very shiny record at 23-1 with 4-0 in the UFC. Some big wins quietly versus Alves, Moises, Alvarez. No one really talks about this guy. You know, he's not a flashy fighter. He just wins decisions. He does enough to win fights. You know, this fight may be a good one and very competitive, in my opinion. You know, I like the 2.5 rounds over in this fight. The decision for Mugulov maybe to avoid that minus 175. But this, I think, is going to be a very close fight. Very close fight. You're going to be sweating this one if you take the decision for Mugulov. But I do see his path here. I do like the experience advantage as well. But it's not a sure thing. But if you can get plus money on the decision, I would look that way to avoid this minus 170 price. What's Sherdog saying here on this? Yeah, Sherdog has RoboCop on that last loss. Yes, against Armin Petrosian. Yes, RoboCop lost that fight. That's right. I thought he was on a win streak here, but he lost that fight to Armin. Minus 190 here on short notice, guys. Marquez plus 160. Love watching RoboCop fight. Love the guy. Improved his striking a ton. He has shown in his last few fights he's not just a wrestler or a grappler. He's coming off a loss to Armin Petrosian, who's a nice prospect. I stayed away from that fight. Due to that. It was a good spot for him. RoboCop, he has the power in his hands. He has a good ground game. However, the one thing that worries me here is the cardio doing to taking this fight on short notice. So if this fight gets in the second or third round, how is he going to handle that? Marquez, back-to-back wins, however, against low-volume, low-level guys, right? Alvi and Patolo. You know, the way Marquez fights is, you know, he grinds on you, tries to find a submission, tries to get the fight to the ground. I think he'll struggle to get RoboCop to the ground and try to find a submission due to RoboCop's credentials in BJJ. So that's why I got to go. I have to look RoboCop's way. Don't love it due to the price. But, you know, I just don't see Marquez having a ton of success here in any area. RoboCop's fairly well-rounded, right? So I don't love it because of the short notice. That scares me. So I wouldn't bet Rodriguez by minus 190 straight up. Maybe you can find a TKO KO finish, but I will not be on that due to the price, but for video purposes, I'll look RoboCop's way. That will do it, guys. Good card this weekend in Austin. Should have some fun over there in Austin. I was going to actually go to this card, but things didn't work out. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy this week's card.